Well, good afternoon everybody, and welcome back to Shutters and Speed. Today you join me on a ride into Kings Lynn. We're on the outskirts in the village called Westwinch at the moment, and I thought I would take you on a tour of the historic spots of Kings Lynn. Just a sort of a bit of a season ending finale, I guess, because I'm not sure how many more days we're going to get such as this. This has been recorded in sort of mid to late October on a reasonably dry and warm afternoon, unseasonably warm it has to be said. So let's see how we get on. So let's roll the titles and let's see what we can find in the historic town of Kings Lynn. Well, here we are in Kings Lynn. We're at the South Gates Roundabout, which is very near to the South Gates archway, for the want of a better word. We'll be, once the traffic lights change and we get going around this roundabout, the South Gates will come into view. This is the part of the town wall that went round in town in its entirety many years ago. I'm sure we'll find out and let you know what the exact history was. But in the meantime we'll have a good view of it. Yeah, so we're making our way around the, as I said, the South Gates roundabout, and it's now coming into view now, hopefully. We will be taking the underneath arch view, and this is a very prominent and popular part of the Kings Lynn historic sort of set of buildings, if you like. Yeah, the South Gate was built in the 14th century. It was modified in the 1520s and also in the 19th century to provide the pedestrian archways which are either side of the main archway, and the road was widened in 1899 to allow for a better flow of traffic into Kings Lynn, and that pretty much remains as it is today. Yep, so up ahead, as you can hopefully see quite clearly, is the Kings Lynn Town Library. Another very historic building, of which there will be a description come up very soon. Yes, the library was built in 1905 by a Scottish-American philanthropist called Andrew Carnegie, who I believe paid for it as a gift to the town. It's on the site of the former Greyfriars Monastery, and the library sits adjacent to the remains of the tower and the gardens, and the eagle-eyed amongst you as we came round the corner may well have spotted the leaning tower of Kings Lynn in the background. So this is the historic waterfront of Kings Lynn. Along here are various warehouses that were used by merchants back in the day to, you know, they either lived here or they used to store all their commodities that were used to do various things such as cloth, grain and all those type of things. And all this along here was once a very busy merchant port. The port of Kings Lynn is now further up along the river, and it's a much more commercial operation, more modern, but this was part of the historic riverfront of Kings Lynn. And up, just coming up round this right hand corner, we'll just put in to let you have a good look at this. So straight ahead of us we have the Customs House, which is probably one of the most famous buildings of Kings Lynn, I guess, and features quite prominently in all the literature and so forth that you see. Anything to do with Kings Lynn usually has the Customs House mentioned at some point, and it is what it says on the tin, so to speak. It used to be involved with all the customs ins and outs of the port of Kings Lynn and all the historic stuff that goes with it. And over there you can see the remnants of some old warehousing or storage facilities that were used in the day. And in actual fact, back in I can't remember that exact time, but I'm sure I'll find some information to that effect. But the film Revolution was filmed here, and there's been various other programs and films been filmed in Kings Lynn. But that area there was used quite prominently in the film
Revolution, which actually turned out to be a bit of a box office flop, it has to be said. But of course it's had Al Pacino starring in it, so we had Al Pacino staying locally and sort of being around Kings Lynn for a little while, which was something for the locals to get excited about. So we're now going to be making our way left here, and we're going to be going down King Street, which is probably one of the most historic parts. This is where all the merchants from yesteryear used to live, and in fact around the end of September most years there's a Heritage Open Day here in Kings Lynn, and you get the opportunity to go into a lot of these buildings. Some of them are now like solicitors' offices and accountants and estate agents, but some of them are privately owned, and you know, they do give you the opportunity to go and have a look around. There's one up here just on our left, is the old Guild Hall, a very prominent building in Kings Lynn, and is under sort of renovation at the moment because there's been some money awarded to the town for all the historic stuff that's about here, and you know, that's obviously going to benefit from that. This is the Corn Hall, which was renovated to a fairly high regard. It's now a very popular theatre and so forth for local people to enjoy sort of well-known acts. Very, very often a lot of the touring comedians and so forth end up here in Kings Lynn. And just up here is the magnificent St Nicholas Chapel. I'm hoping you can pick that up. We'll just pull over here and have a look. Yeah, so that's we get a better view, I think, in the middle of the road. That is the St Nicholas Chapel, a very prominent building here in Kings Lynn, used in the festival for music and so forth, and is a very attractive building. So that's another viewpoint or landmark here in the historic town of Kings Lynn. So we've done an about turn, and we're now entering back into the Tuesday marketplace, where you get a better view of the corn exchange here at Kings Lynn and all the merchant houses that surround this historic marketplace. You're getting a good view of the Duke's Head Hotel and one or two other sort of interesting buildings here in the centre here. So we're going to be heading back down King Street, and then we'll be going down Queen Street, and we'll eventually end up on what is the historic Saturday marketplace, where we'll get a look at what is formerly the St Margaret's Church, which is now known as the Kings Lynn Minster. So we'll get a look at that, and also the historic town hall. So we'll pull up there and have a look at those. So as I said before, we're making our way down King Street, having done a complete U-turn. The customs house is now coming back into view, although obviously we won't have such a good view as we had earlier, so to speak. So as we come round this slight left-hand bend, the Kings Lynn Minster should come into view. And there she is. So we'll pull over and just have a bit of a chat about that. Yes, as I stand here, you get I hope, quite a good view of the Minster, or St Margaret's Church, as probably the locals know it more as, and a very striking sort of building here in the heart of Kings Lynn. And as I turn to my left, you have a view of the Kings Lynn Town Hall and associated buildings. This is now used as a events venue for weddings and so forth, as well as a lot of civic functions that goes on within the historic interior. It's also now the home of the registrar's office, so people who get married in registry offices or in the registry office will come here to the town hall in Kings Lynn to go through their nuptials. And I think you'll agree it's quite a striking building, and I'm hoping that maybe in the new year, I might be able to get a tour for us on the inside, because I do, in my role as a wedding photographer, I come here quite often to do cover weddings, and I've got to know the caretakers, and they're a very knowledgeable bunch about this building, and they may well hopefully take us on a tour so that they can give you much more detailed information about this fabulous historic building. So as we stand here, you can obviously see the town hall to my left there, and as we sort of scan round, these are all sort of old buildings that are associated with historic Kings Lynn from way back when. And if where you see, I hope you can pick out the baguette stop over there, that is the actual entrance to the high street that takes you right through the town to the Tuesday marketplace where we came from, where the Guild Hall, the Corn Exchange was. So I hope you've got a good taste of historic Kings Lynn. I'm sure that I have actually put in some interesting bits and pieces for you in the way of voiceovers to give a bit more detail to some of these buildings, because I don't always have it to hand, but hopefully that will prove interesting and you'll enjoy this video. So without further ado, I'll call an end to it right now, and it all remains for me is for you all to stay safe, and we'll see you next time. So this is Shutters and Speed signing off for now. Bye!